Diagwatch everyone, Kajima Tashiv, and welcome back to episode number 73 of the Inline G Flute podcast with me, your host, motherfucking Inline G. Bonjour mes petits rats, we're still in Paris this week for the third and penultimate installment of the Paris November 2024 Inline G series, coming once again from the upstairs of the city's finest Irish pub, the Galway. Now, listen, guys, I know there's literally hundreds of cafes and brasseries, beautiful ones, all over Paris where I could be recording this podcast instead of an Irish pub, but that's not very Inline G. No matter where I am in the world, all I want is a pint of Guinness and a conversation, and this week's podcast is no exception to that, as one of my genuine all-time top targets to get on this podcast is joining me. So fresh off another international tour, I am joined by one of my favourite flute players in the game, Daniela Mars. Now, Daniela and I have chatted for months about Pokemon, but we've never had the pleasure of actually meeting. So, getting a wee hour where we could do this was genuinely lovely. Now, allow me my own wee moment here, because I have followed Daniela on social media for a very, very, very long time, and it's been incredible watching her from like the early days of making Instagram reels and funny reels and clips of her own music to building brick by brick her own massive, huge career. She's the definition of a modern, eclectic musician, and I actually feel quite proud now that I've watched this journey to see her doing all these amazing things. Now I'm very proud of her. So, if you want to learn all about building your own career in an increasingly difficult classical music world, this episode is for you, okay? And for me, listen, I've even watched it back. I enjoyed this episode so much, I watched it back and I can't stand my own voice. Thank God you lot can. So anyway, listen, regular listeners, skip ahead, you know what's coming, okay? But if you're new to the podcast, just give me one moment of your time, please. The Inline G podcast is free and always will be free, that is a guarantee. However, if you want to donate to the podcast, you can now do so through the Patreon. On the screen now is the address for the audio listeners. It is patreon.com/the Inline G Flute podcast. It costs €5 or whatever that is in your currency per month, and with that you're genuinely keeping this podcast alive. I do an episode of this podcast every single Friday, come rain nor shine. And if you listen to all those episodes and you think, fuck, if I saw Gareth in a pub, I'd love to buy him a pint to say thank you, do it virtually. This is the definition of a small independent podcast. I do everything around here on my own. So if you want to support me for the work I do as an artist, it is incredibly appreciated and it is genuinely keeping this podcast going. It also means I keep sponsors away, because sponsors do not like me saying the word fuck. So if I keep sponsors away, you guys get the exact content and the exact podcast that you want. You're paying directly to it. So if you can afford to sign up to the Patreon, please do. It makes a huge difference to this podcast and really keeps it alive. But listen, if you can't, it's only a £5 a month, lads, seriously, 4 episodes, £5 a month. But anyway, if you can't afford it, times are hard, and if you're an artist especially, times are very hard. Don't worry, someone else is paying so that you can continue to listen for free. It's a really nice system based off soundness and kindness. So anyway, here is this week's Inline G podcast, direct from Gay Paris, with the modern, multi-faceted, multi-talented mega musician with a really cool name, Daniela Mars. I can digitally insert a drink afterwards. My editing team can insert a drink.
Wait, cheers.
Oh, here, cheers. What do you say in Portuguese?
Saúde.
Saúde. Saúde.
It's like saying health. Santé.
Yeah.
You want it back?
Yeah, you have to give this drink back, yeah. Well, cut that out. Okay. Yeah, awesome. Well, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
You're just back from a couple of travels as well?
Yeah,
Where are you back from? Tell me. Well, you told me, but tell them.
Well, this weekend I was in Switzerland just to actually watch a concert.
Just to watch?
Yeah, it was Barnaby Smith. Barney Smith. He's a countertenor.
Yeah.
So he's the artistic director of HSA, and he's Paul's brother. So we went there to
what a small world.
Support him. Yeah.
Awesome.
And so before that, I was in America. So I'm still 6 hours behind. I went to sleep at 5 in the morning because I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
But I'm still happy to be here.
And you look full of energy as well.
Oh, thanks.
I think sometimes when you've got jet lag, you get that lovely little second wind where you get a lot of energy for a little while.
Yeah.
And then you know the crash is in the post. It's coming soon.
You just collapse, yeah.
But that's okay. Point. And in America, were you gigging? Were you working?
Yeah, I had some gigs. I did some workshops. Part of it was just with a duo that I have with Paul called Mars Smith Duo.
Yeah.
Part of it was work and workshops with the Voce 8 Foundation.
Yeah.
And then some of it was just my own work. So it was a good mix of all three stuff. Yeah. But tiring, but
do you deliberately try to do that when you're going to a new city to try and get in a couple of different projects worth of gigs?
Yeah, definitely. Because or else you're just... I know I was going to be there for a period of time. Yeah. And actually there was this artist who had messaged me on Instagram and he's like, I can't pay for you to come to New York, but I'd love to have you on my show.
Okay.
And I was like, wait, when is it? And then it happened to be when I was there. So I was like, I can do it. I'm there. And it was New York just before Halloween. So then I stayed to see some friends and it was just perfect.
What was it? What did you do then?
So it was the opening of an exhibition in Yancey Richardson in this beautiful art gallery.
Okay.
And it was very like avant-garde. He wanted me to play 3 of my compositions and then he was going to do like something. Like it was literally me, him, and an actress that he'd got.
Okay.
None of us knew what was going to happen. Like
so there was no rehearsal or anything?
No, because there was no time. And he's from Mexico.
Okay.
And I think Latin America and Brazilians as well, we're just all, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Last minute.
I do love that attitude,
And so I asked the actor, I was like, do you know what we're doing? She's like, I've got no idea. I'm like, okay, good. Because I don't know either. But I just know that I'm going to play my pieces.
Okay.
And he's going to do something. And he needed to tap the floor like with his... with a shell to start. It was really very like New York art scene.
And then what did the actress do?
It's just very weird because before I was playing looking out of the window, so there were loads of people really like just dressed up crazy with their phones filming everything, and so I played to him who was outside. They created like a podium for him. Then in my second piece he came inside, and in the third piece he was still sitting there doing something on the ground with like this art things he had, and she came from behind wearing this beard of feathers. And she just like did something with his hair. It was just he just went with it, you know.
And did it work?
Yeah,
it sounds cool. Yeah,
it was cool.
Awesome. And your own compositions, new compositions, or
they're already out. So it was Cliffs 1 and 2 and 3.
Yes. So they're all on the last album, are they?
Oh, Cliffs 1 and 2 are in the last one, and 3 is going to be on the next one.
Okay, well, we need to talk about that as well. We are going to get to the new album. Do you know what? Let's talk about the new album while we're here. The first 4 minutes now, and that way, anyone who switches off later, you can plug it to them now.
Sure.
New album. So you crowdfunded it first of all, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Did you hit your target?
I did. I went over, so that was really nice.
Great, okay.
Well, because if you don't hit your target, you get nothing.
You have to refund everybody.
And I was so stressed because I had never asked for that much. Usually I asked for 10,000.
Yeah.
And then this time I asked for almost double that, and I was just every morning I'd be like stressed, thinking I'm not going to get it. It's not going to work.
It's
oh my God.
It's a project though, isn't it?
It's so stressful because it's just stressful.
So you can't start. Have you started the recording process, or did you have to wait until you hit your target before you could?
I had already started a bit.
Okay.
Some of it had already been done, and now I'm just finishing the rest because I'm doing it on vinyl.
Oh,
so
nice.
As well.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have it for it to be pressed, and for it to be out in February. I have to deliver like all the masters mid-November. So and
there's a bit of a backlog with vinyls at the minute, isn't there?
Yeah, it's
like quite hard to get vinyls ordered in Europe, I heard.
Yeah, so I found this company. Actually, they found me. I think they saw that I was doing a vinyl, and they're like, "Hey, we'd love to do your vinyls." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." In
Which
Belgium,
company is it?
Belgium,
okay.
Belgium Vinyl, I think it's called.
I think I'm familiar with them actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're super nice. I had a. And I'm such a newbie in vinyls because I didn't know what a gatefold was. I didn't know how the sleeve. I had no idea.
Yeah, I know what that is.
You do? Okay. So gatefold is when it opens.
Okay. Well, I know it opens. Yeah. Okay. So you can choose having it to open or just slide
a
straight
sleeve,
in.
or if you want, like, there's so many different things to pick from. And so I had a video call. I'm like, can I do it in red? But can I do it in red and black, like mixed together? So I asked all the stupid questions. Well,
you mean the actual vinyl itself?
It's gonna come in red.
I love a colored vinyl. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna come out in different colors, and
have you done a vinyl album before?
No, it'll be my first one.
Okay.
So I was also selling it like that because so many of my followers were saying, "Oh, can you do it in vinyl?" And so I did the Kickstarter. I'm like, "It's here. You can make a pledge."
Yeah, plus also vinyl. I love vinyl. I've got really into it now.
Yeah.
Just because there's such a ritual attached to a vinyl. It's like taking it out, putting it on, and you get something really beautiful and physical to hold on to.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many vinyls are you planning to make? Have you got an idea yet?
This is a big debate, also with me and my partner, because we're thinking, where are we going to store the vinyls?
True.
Because it's a lot. So I was...
And you have to be careful with how you store them as well. They're very temperamental.
Yeah, so it's not like 200 CDs or 500. Usually I've done 500 CDs
Yeah.
or 1,000.
Okay.
And this time I'm thinking 300 vinyls maybe, because
Okay.
I already had about 75 people pre-order it through the
Yeah.
Kickstarter.
Okay. So they've got theirs.
And then
already
if I'm going to go on tour, but then you have to carry the vinyls. I mean, I'm really a newbie, so I might do a YouTube video just on my experience with vinyls.
That'd be a good idea, yeah. Yeah, because bringing them anywhere is a bit of a nightmare because they never fit into like suitcases either, like small suitcases. And as I found out recently, I started collecting some vinyls and I found some of my dad's old vinyls and I brought them over. And I didn't know you have to store them like up the way, you don't lay them on top of each other. Nobody told me this.
All right.
Now I had a great vinyl of the first Blondie album, like an original print, and it was so
no
cool.
Way.
It's fucked. It's warped. It's done. It doesn't play anymore. Every time you play a song, you get like 30 seconds, and then it and repeats. And I was like, and then my girlfriend was like, no, you don't store them like that.
Yeah.
And you have to look after them. They're a lot of work. Not to scare you or anything.
No,
but
I became aware of that when I just saw them all like that.
Yeah.
I asked the shop guy, and then he was like, oh yeah, you have to store them. I'm like, okay, good.
Okay, so the new album, has it got a title yet?
Heart Weaving.
And that's confirmed?
That's confirmed in my head, yeah.
Okay, this doesn't come out for a few weeks anyway, so don't worry. If that's like being exclusive.
But what's confusing is that in my previous album, Reverence for the Moment, there's a piece called Heart Weaving.
Yes.
And so I even had a big debate with Heine, a friend of mine who I played in a trio with him.
Yes.
And I was like, can I call it Heart Weaving? I've actually asked a lot of advice from him because he's a composer.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can, but that means there has to be another piece in the album called Heart Weaving 2. And I'm like, okay,
So
he's
did you
almost
commission someone to write Heart Weaving 2 then? Or did you write Heart Weaving 2?
No, I wrote it.
Yeah. I see,
But
that's fine then.
There are some commissions because in the Kickstarter you could commission a piece, but not in time enough for it to come out in the album. Because I'd have to write it, see if they like it, work on it with it.
Yeah, it takes a long time, doesn't it, to get commissioned?
Yeah, then record it and all of that.
Okay. So what's the sort of theme of the album, or what's the crack with it?
So
Tell me everything.
It's all about
Give me your elevator pitch.
it's all about connections which shape our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not just connections with people we love, but like places or memories, objects, siblings, like it's a bunch of things. And the first piece is called, which actually came out last week, but it's going to be the first track in the album. Mm-hmm. It's called First Bond with the Light Giver because
I saw this. Yeah, this was a beautiful thing. The Portuguese phrase, wasn't it? You posted about?
Because and I literally never knew it was such a poetic thing. So when women are going to give birth in Portuguese, we say dar à luz, which means give to the light.
That's so pretty.
And and I found that so nice, and I wanted it to be like, okay, that's the first connection physically with umbilical cord or body or whatever.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Most of the times emotionally. So I wanted to have that as the first piece, and then the last piece is going to be called Bound to Others. And it's just so, I'm a very cheesy person. I think most Brazilians are. Like,
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it really is a thing. Like, if you watch telenovelas, they think, you think they're being dramatic. That's just the way we are. Yeah. So I always talk about love. And that's that's always the theme in some way.
I like that.
So in the last piece, Bound to Others, it's the idea that even if we're dead or if people which we loved have passed, we're still bound to them through love that goes beyond something. Yeah. So it's really...
So it's going to start then with obviously giving birth. It's going to end with the idea of something like death. What's the journey in between then?
The journey is just, it's more personal things. So I've got one piece which is literally called Alec, or Shimmers to Alec, which is my brother. And because I'm very close to my brother, I love him so much. And so it's about that kind of connection, connection with like places. And also a very important theme in the album, even though it's about connections, it's about the idea that we can break free from connections too. Okay. So we're able to undo the knots or the unravel things. So even if someone has been like really bad to us, or if we had a very bad experience, we can break free from that. We're not bound to that forever. So we choose the love connections that we have in our lives, even if that's linked through blood or anything. So some pieces are a bit dark, but it's about that cleaning, about that releasing.
Yeah, so is it almost like a concept album? Does it have like a very clear structure of how it goes? Like do the tracks tell a story in that way?
Yeah. And usually I write a bunch on my booklet. Like I spend.
You do booklets with it. That's right.
Yeah, but I spend like more time writing my booklet than recording.
Okay.
Really, I spend forever. And
but you write the booklet yourself?
I do. And I design it too. So, and I'm thinking, no one reads this. I keep on thinking, but like it doesn't matter. It's really like it has the story, because even my previous album, Reverence for the Moment, it was about like giving reverence to whatever moment you're in your life. And so also each piece had a really long like story to it. So
when you're writing your booklet, do you do it in Portuguese and English as well?
I do it in English. I do sometimes have like quotes in Portuguese or in French. And Heine had actually written a piece for not for my previous album, but we recorded it on my album called 60 Millimeters.
Okay.
And, you know, Heine is such a German, like he's in his 60s.
Yeah.
He's, I think it's called Kriegenkel, that kind of generation who was like not their parents were in the war, but their parents' parents.
Yeah.
And so he was saying that his personality is very much like that. He's very, you know, very German kind of. One day I hope you meet him because he's awesome. And but he made this piece called 60 Millimeters for his father, who'd passed away, and he actually made it for 2 bass flutes so that we could perform it together.
Okay.
And I really wanted it in my album because it spoke specifically about the time when he was passing, and it was such a sensitive piece from such a man who doesn't really show that much sensitivity on the outside. I can't remember why I got into that. But,
I was trying to pull on that thread as well there for a second. Trying to think where did I get to that as well.
Going everywhere.
But Heiner, where's he from, by the way, in Germany? Do you know?
Nordrhein-Westfalen, so like
so my
area. Yeah.
Oh, is he up from like Bochum direction? Somewhere like Bochum, like.
I think so.
Yeah, because the north of the Nordrhein-Westfalen is all like the Ruhrpott, like the industrial heart of Germany.
I remember you were asking about languages. So he wrote something in German.
Yes.
And I put it in German on one page and English on the other page.
Okay.
So it's a very multilingual.
And the booklet, is that for like people who've crowdfunded, or do you pay extra for that, or does it come with the album?
No, that comes with the album.
It comes in it. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, nice. Okay, you're very generous. Yeah. And album cover. Have you picked it yet?
Yeah, I have.
You don't have to tell it. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
So, usually...
That's the biggest bit of an album. It's
it took me forever though. I had, for my first album, Intrinsic, I was like completely covered almost with just like an eye, because it was like about nature. And then the second one, I've just got a black and white photo. And this one is very like, I don't know, I'm looking straight at the camera and you can see my whole body and it's very red, like a red background, just a dress. And I don't know, I'm thinking I'm not putting the title on the album, so it's just going to be red, and then the title will be on like the side.
I like that, yeah.
But I have a very like, some people say it looks regal for some reason, but I wanted it to have this kind of confidence.
Red is it? Yeah,
especially because of the kind of thing that we can control, the knots that we bind ourselves to with people and things, that we have that power.
And also with the word heart in the title, I think red is naturally,
So.
And is there a reason for like, so you said the last album, it was black and white. What was the cover of the first album?
Green, like mostly green, because that was linked to nature.
Okay, so then, it's nice to have different colours going through the albums then as well. And they'll look good beside each other then when people buy all 3.
And also the vinyl will look cool in red, I think. And also have the red actual things. So.
Do you collect vinyls yourself?
No, I don't like, so that's what I meant. I'm a real
Do you have a
newbie.
vinyl player?
I don't, but I will have one. I do have vinyls now because I went to Fnac. And I found some vinyls. It's so depressing that you have to like go right to the back to see classical music, and then there's like this one strip, like one wall like that, and you can pick some vinyls.
And even like Fnac's one of the good places to get classical music vinyls, and it's not that great. Like Paris, I used to enjoy that, going to Fnac, because a lot of the Fnacs here do have good classical music. Yeah. But generally, when you leave Paris, you can't get any good ones. And it's a shame because I love, and classical music sounds great on vinyl. Yeah. It really suits like the vinyl aesthetic. I can't wait to hear it. I love vinyl. I'm such a huge fan of vinyl.
I managed to buy Arvo Pärt, like one of my favorite recordings from, I love Tabula Rasa. Like I'm obsessed with that piece. And there's my favorite recording. I just happened to find it at Fnac. It's the one he did in Bonn and Köln as well. So I'm like, this is perfect. So I just grabbed it, and it's gatefold, so I can see how it can be, and it's just nice to be like, okay, this is, because else you have no idea. You're like ordering something which you have no idea what it's going to look like. Yeah. So I wanted one gatefold album to be like, okay, this is what it is.
I'm glad I've learned that word today as well, gatefold. Yeah. That's great. Okay, so
I'm glad you didn't know.
No, I didn't. I have a lot of vinyls, but I haven't got a clue. My girlfriend is obsessed with Taylor Swift vinyls at the minute. She's going through Taylor Swift phase. I think everyone has to have a Taylor Swift phase at some point. She's going through it now, so I'm trying to be supportive of it. Okay. Because I went through mine already.
Nice.
I'm through it and all. I still love Taylor, but anyway, she's getting all the vinyls, and she's obsessed with them, collecting them, getting the different sizes and all. So I'm learning a lot, but I didn't know the word gatefold. So that's the word of the day. And lastly then, when is the album coming out? What's the crack with it? When can we all expect to see it?
So it's funny that for some reason in the music industry, everything comes out on a Friday.
Okay.
And I saw that like all the single releases, they're always on a Friday. Really.
Okay.
And album releases. I mean, you
I
can
wonder
do
if
it
that's
some
for the
other
charts
day.
then, is it then?
It used to be on a Wednesday.
Yeah,
which was much better.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it was much
remember
better.
like back in the UK when you were younger, CDs came out on a Wednesday because they
Yeah.
wanted to be out to get the weekend sales, so the charts were declared on a Sunday night, I think.
I think, but then now for some reason it's on a Friday, and so I saw that Friday, February 14th was gonna be on a Friday. I'm like, I'm taking that day.
A Valentine's Day album
So
with
I
the name
spoke-
Heart in it in red. Perfect. That is
but it's not
gold.
such a romantic album. But I'm like,
Don't tell anybody that. It'll sell much better if you don't tell people. Just if it has a picture of a heart on the front and it's red, or not a picture of a heart, but it's red and it says heart in it, and it's out on Valentine's Day.
hopefully we
great.
playlisted.
And then
Find
people
a
will
way.
discover it's not a Valentine's album, but that's fine. So Valentine's Day is the day it's coming out.
It is, but
Okay.
pure luck, really. I spoke to the label,
great.
and they were like, "Yeah, that day's free for our release." I'm like, "Okay, I'm taking it."
And are you going to do like a launch party? Anything special?
I'm
planned for
thinking
it?
about it. That would be after the release because I'm going to be in America on that day.
Oh.
So I won't be doing it. I might try and do something there, but I think I'm going to try and do something proper in London.
Okay. But even if you didn't do something official in America, what would you do yourself? Would you like get a glass of champagne in the hotel room or do something to celebrate?
Oh,
You
yeah,
have to
yeah.
do something, don't you, when your album comes out? It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. Yeah, funny because when was it Reverence for the Moment? Or no, when Intrinsic came out, I was
Yeah.
actually doing a project in Köln.
Ah, okay.
And in this gorgeous church, which I don't know if you know, it's St. Gertrude?
Ah, yeah, I do know St. Catherine's,
The Brutalist church.
Yes.
That's like my favorite place in the world.
It's a weird looking church.
That
yeah.
is, I've done so many, so I did a really big project there, and it was the day I was recording it,
Yeah.
and the next day we were filming it, like the whole
Okay.
day, and so it was kind of both, like I was really
Yeah.
excited, but I was also had to concentrate on that.
Exactly, yeah.
But have
And
you ever done were you ever thought about doing an album?
No, I would love to. I've toyed with the idea for many years. I've played on other people's albums, and I love doing that, but I don't know, I haven't got a clear idea in my head of what I would do if I released an album.
It takes a long time. I feel the preparation takes much more than
Yeah.
anything else, to have the theme and to have all the...
Yeah, I can imagine as well, like the release of the album must be a weird moment because obviously you record it months in advance.
Yeah.
It's all done months in advance, and then suddenly you're like, right now it just goes out into
Just
the world.
waiting, yeah.
It just goes and it's not yours anymore, it just floats out there. It must be exciting. I was talking to Rachel about this as well, and she was saying the same thing. When her new album came out, it's a very surreal moment when an album
Yeah,
comes out.
totally.
Because suddenly it's just out there.
Yeah. So what would you do if you had an album out? How would you celebrate?
Are you kidding? I'd be here. I'd be straight here. All the major events of my life, I've probably been in this pub to celebrate a lot of them.
wow, okay.
Yeah, I would make the point. I always say as well, if I won the lottery, I would fly here. I'd fly all my friends here. And then
that's
maybe go to
nice.
Vegas afterwards. But if anything major happens in my life, I tend to be in this pub. For anyone
Okay.
not watching, they should say we're in the Galway Irish pub. But again, most of the major moments of my life have been in here. Because I studied here as well. So
Yeah.
anytime the concours went well, I came here. The concours went badly, I came here. So most of my major moments of my life seem to have been here. So I usually come back for New Year's as well, and I spend it here.
Okay.
So yeah,
That is nice.
But I would love to have an album coming out. I
yeah,
love the
you
attention
should
of it
totally
all.
do it. If
Although-
you ever need tips or if you're having an
Thank you.
existential crisis,
Oh, I've had
call
plenty
me
of them, yeah.
because I will listen.
I will. That'd be lovely. What was I going to say there? Oh, I totally forgot. Anyway, great. Then we'll look forward to the album on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what else is coming out on Valentine's Day? There's a new Bridget Jones movie coming out next year on Valentine's Day.
but Mark Darcy isn't in it.
Oh, is he not?
No, I'm sorry. Did I spoil that for you?
Because it's based on the book, isn't it? I haven't read
I
the book.
don't know. I've read the first two books, and the first one
wow.
is hilarious.
Is it
like,
really
I
good?
was crying laughing.
But then it's-
I couldn't believe how funny
But
it was.
Darcy's not coming back, but Daniel's coming back, isn't
Yeah,
he?
I know,
Daniel
and I
Peter?
hate Daniel.
Yeah, everyone hates Daniel. That's
So
the
I'm
point. You're
like,
meant to hate
why the
Daniel.
hell? I love Colin Firth. And
Oh no, I love Hugh Grant's character in it. Because it wasn't at the end of the third one where they had like the post-credit scene where the newspaper comes by
Yeah,
and
and
it's
he's
like,
still
Baby there
alive.
didn't die.
Yeah,
I'm like, yes. Oh, so that'll be a big day. Your album and Bridget Jones. People should do both. Remember
Yeah.
when we did like Barbie and Oppenheimer and that was a big thing? We can do your album
yeah,
and Bridget
heart
Jones.
weaving Bridget Jones.
Right, see if we can get Hugh Grant if you're watching, because he is a big fan of this podcast. If you're watching, do a bit of plugging for both. Great. Okay. Album. Let's go back. I obviously have to talk about social media.
Yeah,
Okay, because that's where I started following you years ago. It's where I got to know you.
that's awesome.
Now, I was actually sitting downstairs writing these notes out, and I thought, oh, I'll check and see what the numbers are on social media. Just like, this is insane. 2.6 thousand on Facebook, 16.9 thousand followers on TikTok, and 162,000 on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's insane.
For Flute accounts, that's a lot.
For any account, that's a lot. Do you ever just sit back sometimes and go like, oh yeah, wow.
I used to. I definitely used to. But I mean, it is surreal. Like if I start to think about it, like I remember when I don't even know how many I had, but I was telling my dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I've got this amount. He's like, Danny, that's a football stadium.
That's honestly
how
the way I think. Okay, and you're Brazilian, so obviously you have to think like that, yeah. Yeah, because in my mind I'm going 162,000. Yeah, you could do 2 Wembleys for that.
It's a lot.
Or the Maracanã in Brazil, that's 2 Maracanãs.
Yeah.
There you are.
That's true. Yeah. It is surreal.
Which if you see that amount of people in front of you, by the way, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like that's an insane amount of people.
I think the thing that really surprises me is when I post a song or a piece which I wrote, and then to read the comments, because I really expect nothing when I put a piece of myself.
Do you?
Oh, I do read the comments. I definitely read the comments, and I try to answer as many as I can.
Okay.
If there's something sexual, then I just delete and block, like very quickly. I don't. I never ever respond to haters. Like that's been my rule since day one.
Yeah, because that's going to be yeah. But yeah, so when you post your own stuff, what were you going to say there?
So I'm surprised when people like it. You know, I'm surprised when they say nice. I'm like, oh wow, because I've only started composing recently, so I don't expect much, and I do it for. I'm in that very beautiful phase where I do it for fun.
Just purely for the enjoyment.
Just because I love it.
Okay.
And so I'm not doing it trying to be like, oh, I think people will like this.
Yeah.
Or like, so when I see someone enjoying, I'm like, oh, that's really nice.
And they just happen to enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I answer like, thank you so much. But then after,
that's cool.
Yeah, I definitely answer as many as I can.
That's very good, yeah, because I haven't had many haters yet. I kind of want more haters because I want the algorithm to.
Oh yeah.
You get a fight in the comments. The algorithm loves it.
So I did get one fight in the comment which I didn't delete.
Okay.
Because it was when Iftihia and I, my friend Iftihia, she's also a flautist. She plays with me in the trio. We did a video of us dancing to Shostakovich's music, the Chamber Symphony.
I remember that video.
Yeah.
I remember that video.
But then someone commented saying that, I can't remember what they said, and I wonder if they deleted it, because I was trying to find it to show you, and it was something like, this music was written about the Second World War, and you girls are dancing like idiots, or so. I can't remember exactly what it was. Okay. And then there was like a huge, like people just like saying, no, this music was not written for that. And even Heine, who never comments, he wrote like a text saying, Julia, I'm so sorry you have this. He was so polite. Okay. I'm so sorry you have this reaction to the music. Of course, what I say won't change how you feel about this piece. However, and then he said why the music was written. And
that's very mature.
I know, and usually I don't answer. But this one I didn't delete because I was like, let's see what happens, you know? And it wasn't necessarily that mean towards us. It was just like misinformation, you know?
Yeah,
so I just left it. But
it's good for the algorithm, isn't it?
Yeah, so I was like, you know, I'll let
you guys go ahead, have your fun.
Because people were just arguing, having conversations on my comment section. I was like, this is so interesting. And then you'd see people defend me, then people defend her and like attack me. And I'm like, guys, you don't know me.
It keeps me alive, this kind of stuff, man. I love it. I love getting in arguments on Facebook. Instagram tends to be a little bit, I don't know if this is your experience, but I find Instagram relatively speaking, very nice. I don't have many issues on Instagram in comparison to Facebook or TikTok.
So the good thing, what actually has made me learn how to deal with these things is I read a lot of other people's comments. So if I see something funny, I will read the comments because the comments are hilarious usually. Like people make something even funnier about the video. Yeah. And no matter what video it is, it could be a puppy drowning and someone saved it. No matter what, there'll be someone saying something extremely negative and being like, why didn't you save the puppy sooner? Or who's the owner of this? And like just hate. And it's just so absurd that you realize you cannot please everyone.
Exactly.
You know, even if you're Beyonce, you cannot please everyone.
Yeah, well, Beyonce definitely can't either. Yeah, she struggled with it as well.
So I'm like, you know what? It's fine. This is going to happen.
Okay, yeah, because that must be a challenge when you go, like when you started social media, did you intend for it to be like a part of your professional career or was it just for fun?
Not really. I mean, both. I didn't really, it was so early on that I never thought that orchestras didn't have Instagram yet. You know, afterwards orchestras started having that and using it professionally. So it wasn't really because of that. But then it became more like because I'd show my work or people, especially for my first album. All albums I did through Kickstarter. So that was really a good boost. And then you get contacts, you make friends.
Yeah, you do make friends as well. That's really cool.
So then I was like, okay, this could be a thing, like, you know.
Okay.
Could be something.
And did you intend to grow it? Was there ever a point we said, I want to grow this? Or was it just, I'm going to make the content?
No, at some point I definitely wanted to grow it.
So you have to like develop a strategy?
I definitely thought about it. And I would have a day where I would just do different things and then just
Okay.
plan it. I'm not
Yeah.
as organized now, and I don't have that much time. But
It is a
I
lot
do,
of work though, isn't it?
Yeah, and I do try. But I remember just going a bit more back about haters.
Yeah.
I remember in the very beginning, and I'm very lucky that I had only a few. But I remember doing a masterclass, and I posted about it. I did a masterclass in Brazil.
Okay.
And it was like the first time I did something like that. This was years ago, and I was so proud. And then someone sent me a comment so unnecessarily mean. They just said, you witch. They called me a witch. And I was like, what?
Which is kind of
You're the most mediocre person and player I've ever like seen on Instagram. You should put your flute, like, it was just so unnecessarily mean. And I was like shocked, you know? I was like, oh
Was
my
that your
God.
first like major
That was
hater?
my
Like, yeah.
first one. And they sent a DM. Like, they were just, I think they sent a DM or they commented on the post.
Because the DM's
But-
even worse. Like them, they're not even looking for attention.
But
They're
I'm
being
just
mean.
saying this because if anyone has had like experience with haters, it just doesn't matter.
So how did you
Like,
deal with it at the time?
I always delete and block.
Okay.
Just that. I
Even
never.
at the first one, when it first happened, you just went right, delete, move on.
Always, because I know that's what they want. They
Yeah,
want you
they
to
want a
respond,
reaction,
and they
don't
want
they?
a reaction. So
Yeah.
if you just be like, you know, if you don't have a reaction, then they don't have
Yeah.
anything.
And do you ever find, like, do you ever meet the people who leave negative comments? Have you ever met them in real life, or is it all online?
No, because usually they're anonymous.
Yeah, see, that's it.
Like
yeah.
usually they don't have a profile picture or they're a private accounts and they follow like 7,000 other accounts. And
Have you ever had
so-
anyone who's made an account just to comment on your videos?
yes.
See, if that happened to me, I'd be kind of flattered. I'd
No,
be
no,
like,
no,
oh,
no, I've
you hate
had-
me that much? You started an account?
I've had people make fake accounts with pretending to be me.
Oh, okay.
Quite a few. And that
Okay.
was very annoying because in the end they were inviting my followers to Google
Yeah,
Chat and for some doing I don't know what.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that's just so I had to
Yeah,
report
and then that
a lot.
can be difficult.
But I didn't have someone make it just to actually. So someone sent me a very naughty picture which I didn't ask for.
Yeah.
So I blocked them, and so they made another account to say sorry about it, and so I blocked them again.
I'm really sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that.
You don't have to put that in if you want.
No, I mean, sorry, when I said that that's something like I would do, I mean, say sorry for doing something stupid. I would never send that. Not like that, Jesus Christ. Okay. But yeah, like, well, that is one thing as well. Like, you can see it so clearly the difference with how women get treated online and how men get treated
Yeah.
now.
Oh,
Men get
yeah.
away with fucking murder. You can do anything as a man. Nobody's really going to creep on you or do anything weird. Women can't do anything without a creep in the comments.
Do you want to
Anything.
know my most common comments, which everyone I'm sure thinks it's so original?
Go.
That one time in band camp.
Ah.
All the time,
gonna
especially
lie.
with the
Little bit
contrabass
funny.
flute. All the
Little bit
time.
funny.
And it was funny the first time
Yeah.
or the first 15, but then it's like everyone keeps on commenting now.
Yeah, we've
like,
heard this one before now, yeah. Like, American Pie came out like 1997. All right, it's been 30 years, lads.
I've
All
never
right.
even watched it.
Seriously?
I just know it's from there because it was a meme for a while.
Yeah, it's one line at the end of the movie. Like,
At the end.
yeah, it's very, yeah. Because, yeah, it's in American Pie 1, and then they did make an American Pie band camp as well. A specific movie going to band camp, but it was shit.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of American Pie movies. There was too many American Pie movies. So, yeah, is that one of the biggest challenges then of social media? Dealing with haters, dealing with this kind of stuff?
No, because I don't have that many and it really like doesn't affect me that much.
Okay.
So that's not the biggest challenge, I think.
What is the biggest challenge?
I think just having time to post.
Okay.
I think that would be the biggest challenge
Okay.
for me at the moment. And because also the algorithm, you've got no idea what's going on, like with the algorithm
No.
sometimes.
Although I'm so impressed with you that you can do well on TikTok and Instagram because they're two different beasts, aren't
yeah, but I rarely post on TikTok. Like
TikTok's hard.
I keep on telling myself, do it, and I get so lazy.
they? Do you change your content for TikTok and Instagram?
No, usually I just go there.
Make something and away you go, yeah.
But actually, you know what? I would say that one of my major challenges now, going back, is not only having time, but just trying to keep it more spontaneous. Because when you
Yeah.
have that amount of followers, you start to think, oh, but you don't want to curate just to that. You also want to just be yourself. So like
Yeah.
I did a video of me like trying to do. I love voguing, like the dancing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I just find that I can't do it, but I find
Okay,
it amazing.
but you try anyway.
So I did just a funny video where I was like trying to do it,
Yeah.
and nothing flute related.
Yeah.
But I would do that before, and I was like, I'm just gonna post this one now, or like the one
Yeah.
with Tiki and I just we would like crying laughing making that video.
Yeah.
So just more spontaneous things.
But
Not
that's what
just,
you want to do, isn't it? To seem like a normal person.
Yeah, exactly.
To be a
Yeah.
human, yeah. I have such a weird relationship with social media because I'm not committed enough to like post regularly.
Yeah.
The podcast does really well, and it's a different thing to social media. so I don't worry about it. But I have one viral TikTok, and it's what annoyed the shit out of me because I worked so hard on making clips of the podcast, putting them online, doing all kinds of things. I've done like little videos on TikTok. I spend a lot of time in them. I have one that got like, I think it got like 500,000 views or 600,000 or something like that. And it was a video where I was at my friend's house in Ireland, and we got like a, you know, like the pens you put dogs in to make sure they can't escape, like a little cage kind of thing. Yeah. And we all blew up balloons and put them in. And we got one of those Roombas, you know, like the vacuum cleaners that move on their own. And we taped a knife to it. And we all bet on which like balloon would get popped first. And we did it when we were drunk, and I made a video of it, and I was like, this is funny, and I put it up line. The most successful thing I've ever done. The most, like, I spent, this is episode probably 73 or something of this podcast, and that has done way more numbers than anything else I've ever done. They thought, fuck social media, I don't get it.
Yeah, I think my first kind of viral video was me playing a chromatic scale on the contrabass flute.
Oh yeah.
I was like, guys, there's so much, like, that's not very hard, you know.
But it is, it's the contrabass.
Yeah, it just looks impressive.
Because it looks like a monster. Where did the interest in contrabass and low flutes come from?
So in my first album, I recorded my favorite concerto of all time, which is the Nola Flute Concerto.
Oh, I don't
it's
know
by
it.
Benjamin Yusupov, and it was written for Matthias Ziegler.
Oh yeah.
And so in that, like, it's just a monster piece, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So that is for flute with a kind of that buzzing head joint.
Oh yeah.
And bass flute and contrabass flute.
And you have to switch between all four.
And I actually saw this first time in NFA in Orlando.
Oh, okay.
Just a second movement. And I was hitting my friend FT. I was like, listen, as if she wasn't there. And I was just like, oh my God. It became my dream to like record that. Yeah. And I was like, I have to record that. So my first album, I recorded that. I did it in Brazil because it was my country, but also it was much cheaper because of the, I did the Kickstarter in euros, and it was during the pandemic. Yeah. So there was all the crisis. And also, in a way, I was like happy to give work to the musicians at that time because it was a mess.
True. Yeah, exactly. That is true. Yeah. Fuck.
So I recorded that. I really have to listen to this concerto if you haven't heard it before.
I definitely will.
It's just gorgeous. And then
did you have a contrabass at this time?
No. Okay. So I was like calling people everywhere to try and borrow one. Yeah. And then there was this composer called Sophie, and she was like, Daniela, why don't you ask Pierre Varto, who used to be the teacher at the CNSM? And then I was like, okay, but would he lend? He was like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So I messaged him on Facebook. He called me, and he was like, oh yeah, I'd love to lend you. By the way, would you be interested in joining our flute orchestra?
Yeah, the Orchestre Flute Française.
And then I was like, sure. I mean, you're not going to say no. You're not going to be like, no, I will take your flute, and I will not play in your ensemble.
You kind of have to.
So I played with them for quite a few years, and I was borrowing their contrabass flute, which is a beautiful Rosen contrabass flute, really, really beautiful instrument. Okay. And only recently, and I'm talking like a few months ago, did I buy one for myself.
Okay, which one do you have?
It's a Pearl.
Pearl make contrabass flutes?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. And it was actually from a follower, because the flute orchestra kind of wanted that contrabass flute back. And then a follower had written to me saying, hey, do you give lessons on contrabass flute? I'm like, well,
I do not.
No, I was like, I could, but do you have a contrabass flute? Because if you're interested in selling yours, and he was like, oh yeah, sure. And he just did. And that was it? And I was like, yes, because I was looking everywhere, and everywhere I was calling, they had a 1-year wait list or something.
Yeah, because they are long,
I was like, I needed it because I had gigs with it.
Yeah.
So I was like,
I had no idea Pearl made them. Because actually, weirdly, one of the places in the world where you can find low flutes very commonly is the north of Ireland.
Really?
Where I come from in Belfast, because all the flute ensembles, because we have flute bands, which are similar to flute orchestras, but we have a lot of them. They all have contrabasses. So
I did not know that.
Most of them have 2 or 3 I'd say in Northern Ireland right now, there's at least 35 or 40 contrabasses, a couple of subcontras, a couple of octobasses.
I should have asked you then.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
I should have called you.
Yeah,
like
they're
Gareth.
everywhere. We have so many of them because we all get grants for them as well. Like Eva Kingman makes so many contrabasses that end up going to Northern Ireland.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's great. That was the first time I got to play one. Because I remember the contrabass coming in, and then we got a sub-contra when I was there.
You have a sub-contra?
Yeah, there's about 10 or 15 in Northern Ireland. I mean, Northern Ireland's the size of like 1.5 million people. They're everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
But the sub-contra is wild.
Yeah, must be.
Have you played one?
No.
Have you seen one? No.
I have, no, only on like video.
They're insane. Like, I've never seen them in metal. I've only seen the PVC ones.
Oh, I see.
Eva Kingman made, but they are insane. You have to sit to play them as well. You cannot.
No, definitely.
Yeah, they're insane.
I mean,
and then there is one below that as well, isn't there?
There can't be.
There's a double sub-contra or something.
Really?
There is. There's one, and it's There's also a contra-alto, which is an octave below the alto, but a fifth below the bass then.
Okay.
And looks like a small contra.
Yeah.
You know, sort of in between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
they're very fun. They're very fun.
That's how it happened.
And then, so you went to low flutes now.
So, yeah, because I recorded with that instruments, and I did have pieces with the alto, pieces with just the bass. Yeah. So, and then I really liked the timbre, so I started composing a bit with it. And in my second album, there were lots of pieces with it, and then now this one, I was like, I really like using it.
Is it entirely low flute set on the new album?
There is a low flute in basically every piece, except there's just like 2 pieces where there isn't one.
Okay.
So there's one piece which is quite strange because there's this like sound designer composer called Christophe Duquesne, and he was he actually worked with Hans Zimmer and Denis Villeneuve on the soundtrack of Dune 2. And this was like a very weird moment for me. Like, this was one of the moments where I was like, you don't realize who's following you sometimes. Yeah. Because he was doing a podcast, and this podcast is extremely niche in French, lasts 2 hours, and it had like more than 10,000 views. And I'm like, how is this such a thing?
Yeah.
And he was being interviewed because of the work that he did. He's like created his own instruments, and he does his own sound. He's like an engineer. He's the nerdiest person I've ever met, and he's so humble, so smart. Yeah. And so he was talking about the sounds he made in June 2, and I was just listening, and I messaged him because he had messaged me first. He'd messaged me first to say, hey, someone's fake pretending to be you. And I was like, oh, that's nice that you told me, and I followed him back. Yeah. And then in the end of the podcast, they were like, oh, can you say some pieces which inspired you? Yeah. And then there was a piece from my album. And you know when you're just going to like spit out like whatever you're drinking. It was so like
you didn't know he was going to say that?
I had no idea. He just said, make sure you listen to the end. And I like kind of jumped because I was like in already 1 hour 20. Yeah. I was thinking, do I have the whole night? Yeah. And then I saw it. I was like, what? And I messaged her. I was like, that's amazing because I love your work. And then, so he's actually on the album as well. We've done
so
stuff.
Cool.
And actually my partner has like stolen him for his album too with Watch Us 8. So it's it's really, we're all working together.
Yeah, but that's beautiful. One of the nice things as well, isn't it? About social media, it can work that way.
Absolutely, yeah.
You can do a lot of cool collaborative stuff. Like most of the guests I've had on this podcast, I feel like I know them well just because I've met them on social media. Yeah. And you feel like you know them already, and then you meet them and like, oh yeah, you're actually quite cool. Yeah. And that's great. It's great. It's really good connective to it. I feel like flute players are generally quite nice on social media.
I think so.
There's a lot of cool flute players doing some cool stuff out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else I want to add? Okay. How long have we been talking? Okay, we got a little bit of time, right? Okay.
Do you have like a limit? An hour?
No, I try to keep it under an hour if I can.
Okay.
Because I think people switch off after an hour.
Okay.
Because most of my audience is American, and Americans have no attention span. I'm going to have to delete that.
Or they listen twice as fast.
They do. Don't know if I could do that. With my accent as well, you can't really do that. Although your English is incredible. Although you've lived everywhere, haven't you?
I've lived many countries. Yeah, that's
why.
Where
you lived in Vietnam as well? Korea?
No. I was born in Japan. But I stayed there for 2 months. Then I went to England. Then I went to Brazil. Then England. Then South Korea from 2 to 6 years old. Then back and forth Brazil and England. And then it was Vienna. And so I can speak some German too. Okay. And then now France.
But can you speak German or like Austrian German?
I don't know.
Because Austrian German doesn't count.
You know what's really weird is that now people say I have a French accent when I speak German. And I learned German first. So I'm thinking like this isn't making any sense, but okay.
Yeah, how long have you lived in France now though?
Like 9 years.
Oh yeah.
Almost 9 years or 9 years, something like that.
Yeah, I remember that because I remember when I started following you when I was still at school here.
Oh wow.
I had just moved here, I think.
We should have met up. That's crazy.
I don't know how we didn't, yeah. Yeah, who knows how we didn't, yeah. But I want to talk about like making your own career. So obviously you've done this amazing thing. You've like really carved your own career, and I'm such a fan of seeing people do that in the flute world.
That's so sweet to say.
But it's incredible because in the modern flute world as well, the modern classical music world, it's so difficult these days for a lot of musicians to find their own careers.
Absolutely.
And to go and just say, do you know what? I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make the art that I want to make, and I'm going to find people who want to listen to it. And I'm just going to go straight to them. Yeah. Was that always the intention, or how did that sort of start out? Like, obviously you studied flute. Where was the point where you sort of went, I want to do my own thing here?
I really love this question because I'm sure many students have like struggled with this before.
People ask
me
this all the
definitely
time,
do.
So yeah.
I definitely have. I mean, so when I was a student, I really felt that there were just 2 boxes. That it was either you teach or you're an orchestra musician.
That's it. Yeah.
Like that's it. And they don't teach you how to get gigs. So like at the end, there you've got how many thousands of flutists like graduate each year in the world. And
I
how many
always
of
think
them
about this.
are amazing?
Yeah.
So, but they don't teach you how to get gigs, you know?
always think
they've
about
got
this,
no
yeah.
idea. You just get out and people are asking you, so what are you going to do now? And you have like,
I don't know.
you start crying, you're like,
Yeah.
no, I don't know. And so after a while, so I had a kind of a bad experience with a teacher where I think it was just so ridiculously like in a box kind of thinking that I just rebelled. And I was like, you know what?
Fuck this.
Can I swear?
Oh, you can definitely swear.
I was like, you know, fuck this, fuck you, and fuck this institution, and I hate, you know, I never liked being here anyway. I just thought it'd be good for me, but I don't know what I'm doing. And so I left, and I was just like, I blocked his number, and I was just like,
wow, okay.
like, I shouldn't even, I'm not even going to mention who this is, but I was just like,
Yeah, don't.
fuck this.
I mean,
And then I just started, you know, I was kind of scared because thinking, how am I going to do whatever it is I want? But then I always thought of myself more, because I always wanted to be an artist when I was younger. And I
like
thought,
a visual artist, like a painter? Or
like any kind.
Okay.
Like, because I loved dancing, I loved painting, and I loved music. So I was like, you know what, it's fine if you're still a musician, if like, even if someone decides to stop playing the flute, I believe we're all cheesy. I believe we're all artists, you know? Like
100%,
I completely, like, even when people say, oh, I can't sing or I'm tone deaf, like, no, you just had a bad teacher. We're all artists. Like, especially when you teach kids, you realize that we all have this. You know?
Naturally all are, yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking about this just today, actually. It is ridiculous how I feel like classical music is the only genre of music in the world where we think like this. That we think there's a right way to make it and there's a wrong way.
Yeah.
You're playing it wrong.
It's too much.
And
Yeah.
every other genre, they go, you're not playing it wrong, you're doing your thing.
Yeah, and it's too much.
But classical music just drills it into you. Oh, if you're not doing it this way, you're wrong. You're not going to make any money. Nobody wants to listen to you. Go away.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame because then that breeds a lot of people that it's actually the situation you're in. They leave college and they're like, okay, what do I do now? If I don't fit into the boxes, the 2 boxes that they give me, where do I go?
Yeah.
So where did you go?
So what happened? Because I'd already had my bachelor's degree in London, what I did in London.
Yep.
And so I was just like, I moved to Paris.
Yeah.
And I was just, I was doing my own thing. I already had some stuff going on Instagram, and I was making more contacts.
Yeah.
And at one point, I remember, especially during COVID, there was a friend of mine he was the CEO actually of the Vienna Concert House, and he did Bernard Cares. He did
I know Bernard Cares.
He's awesome. Yeah. So he did a book, made a book called How to Be Your Own Manager.
I know that book. Yeah.
And so I actually
that was a while
spoke
ago,
to him. And he was like, you just have to do your own album, do your stuff. And I'd seen people do Kickstarters, and I just thought, you know, I'm going to be true to myself, and I'm just going to do what I want, and I'm sure a way will come, you know.
Yeah.
Instead of just feeling frustrated. And so I did a bunch of stuff, and I was so like to pay the rent in Paris. I was also doing workshops, and I was with like choirs.
Yeah.
Like completely not like had no idea what I was doing.
But is it one of those things you just sort of
learn?
Go, you'll do it?
Yeah,
you
and
learn
so
on the job.
there's a bunch of stuff that was like that, all in like the music realm, but
Yeah.
that I learned by doing. Like,
I'm
you know,
a big fan of that.
I was in an interview, and I mean, you can choose to cut this or not, but I was like,
No,
they were asking me, so you've got experience in this? So like, you know how to do this? I'm like, yeah. You think you do? I'm like, no, I'm sure I do. And I said in French, no, je suis sûre. Like, I was completely like poker face.
But you knew you didn't.
And then I was like in the bus Googling like, shit.
I have done that so many times. So many times. When I taught the music school a couple of years ago, I can say this now because I made a podcast about how bad the school was, but one day they asked me, they were like, can you teach trumpet? And I was like, no, I'm a flute player. I've never played the trumpet in my life. And like, we have trumpet students, they need to learn trumpet. Do you want to teach trumpet?
Are you
going
to pay me?
Yeah. They were like, yeah, but so I was like, fine, fine, we'll work it out. So I thought all I have to do is stay one lesson ahead of the kid.
Yeah.
So as long as I'm like one lesson better, I'll go to YouTube, learn how to do like the first note, and I'm like, right, I'm one lesson ahead of you. Yeah. I'm teaching trumpet.
That's amazing.
It's like, yeah, do you know what?
Amazing.
If I'm getting paid for it, but I think that might be a cultural thing that maybe Brazilians share as well, because you're very very Muslim people. Like in Ireland, there's very much so that attitude of just fuck it, see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the worst that could happen?
So,
they might fire you, and that's fine. You get another job. Who cares?
In the school, there was like a 2-week break period, you know, between like schools. So the kids would do this, like where the parents would just put them in these
like
things.
a camp.
Yeah. And so the camp was like there was a music camp for 1 week, and the second week was dance camp.
I did dance camp as well. Oh God, did you teach dance camp?
I taught the dance camp, and so I did like a choreography of Beyonce's like music, of Bruno Mars, of like a bunch of things.
Fun.
But every day I was like, shit, what are we gonna do? And so I did musical dance, statues, you know, like
Classic.
I just met like,
Classic.
and in the end, we had a performance to the parents, and I can tell you, I was like sweating, like thinking they're gonna find out. But in the end, even one of the parents was like, "And bravo to the teacher," and I'm like, "Where?" You know?
I relate to that so heavily.
But it was so much fun.
Yeah, but you learn what you're doing, and
yeah.
also like, okay, maybe we're not trained as dancers or all this other kind of thing, but at the same time, what? Ça va? Yeah, pas de problème. You're still a musician, you're still a performing artist. And
they invited me back next year.
They are, see.
So I was like, I can do this. Now
Honestly,
I'm a professional.
I am convinced you can just blag your way through most stuff. You can really do it. Like, I'm now taking that attitude with music as well. Like, I've done a lot of gigs with, like, Irish music, and people think I can play Irish music because I'm Irish. But I never learned how to play trad music as a kid. I played classical only. But I just thought, you know what, at some point I'm just going to pretend that I know, learn how to do it, and do it with confidence.
Absolutely,
and then, like, when I do Irish music, for example, I've got people coming up to me, especially in Germany, because Germany has a lot of people that, like, a lot of Germans will go to Ireland for the summer, really study it, learn it properly. Germans are very... And they'll come back and be like, oh, you've playing a very strange style. I've never heard that before. And I'm just like, yeah, it's the Belfast style.
It's the whatever style.
I just blag and see how it goes. And it's worked. I get work from it now. I'm a big fan of just blag it and see where it goes. And I tell this to my followers all the time, because when I do like I'm sure you get these all the time. Have you ever done like a thing on Instagram where you say like, I've got what questions do you have career wise? Do you want advice for career?
Oh, I have done that. I think I've done a live on that.
Okay.
But I have done something similar at some point.
And do you get those kind of questions then of like, what should I do? I'm too nervous to do this. I don't think I'm ready to do this. I don't think I'm good enough.
I do.
What would your answer be?
I mean, it might sound, it's not mean, but in one way I would say no one cares. Like literally no one cares about what you're doing. And I mean that in the nicest way. I mean, like, you should do what you want.
Yeah.
Because everyone's just worried about how people are going to see them. Yeah. Everyone is. So therefore they're not worried about how like they're seeing other people, you know? Yeah. And so I came to such a level of not caring, and that's why also the reading other people's Instagram comments helped me, because I'm like, people are just giving shit for this person, which is a lovely person.
Yeah.
That's why I started composing, because I saw composers as this big thing. Like, you can only be a composer if you know this amount.
It's the ultimate art, like the pinnacle of musical theory.
Absolutely.
As well.
And I've never been good at musical. Like, I've never been good at
well,
that.
You don't need it. There you are.
And so then when I started, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do what I want, and
see what happens.
So, and also an advice which I've given to many musicians which are like in conservatoire, like when they're in that world, is that there is more to life than music, because sometimes we get completely in that thing,
soaked up in it,
and we're just that, like, we all know when we go to a music like party, at least in Paris or in France, usually you say your name and your instruments, because we're all in. There are only musicians in that party.
Which, if you imagine for 1 second, if you went to any normal party
it's not
and
like
you introduced yourself as going, "Hi, I'm Gareth, flute."
Yeah.
You go, Are you okay, Gareth? Flute?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'm Daniela. What do you play? I play the flute. Okay.
But we do, because it's so personal as well to make music, that we really take everything personally and we surround our lives with it.
It's almost like Hogwarts house. I'm Ravenclaw.
Yeah. Although, I'm a Ravenclaw. No, I'm a Slytherin, actually.
You're
I always get Slytherin every
I think I got Slytherin too. And
do you do Pottermore?
No, I did a test like online.
You could do the Pottermore one, like the official test.
Okay, that might be the one. Okay.
You strike me as a Slytherin, to be totally honest.
Okay. Is that a good thing?
Well, I'm a Slytherin, so yeah, I think it is a good thing. Yeah.
I'll try and do that test, the official one then.
What else? I had a great story there I was going to say, but I can't remember what it was. Oh no, it's not even a story. So I do think maybe there is a cultural aspect to it of certain countries, because I feel like English people, for example, they always seem like they're under pressure, or there's a certain thing of image with them.
Yeah.
They come, like, especially in the conservatoires and stuff, they're very like, I don't want to do it wrong, I don't want to be wrong.
Yeah, and they're worried about the tone or whatever
very,
it is.
Very careful. Yeah. While I think Irish culture in general, like, one of the most famous phrases in Ireland is, it'll be grand. Now, we use grand not as in like the overall big thing. Yeah. Grand just means okay.
Okay.
And no matter what problem there is in Ireland, you're like, it'll be grand. It'll be grand. Which just means I'm not going to fix it, but it's going to get fixed somehow. It's going to be fine. I don't know how it's going to be fine, but somehow it's all going to work out.
Yeah, and when you think about it, you've spent so many hours in a room by yourself doing scales. You have to enjoy it at some point. Yeah. Like, you have to enjoy your music, your playing, because if every concert we're coming off stage thinking what we could have done better, it just kills the joy of it.
Well, that's terrible. Like, Rachel actually was talking about this as well, and something really struck me. She was saying, like, the reason she switched from classical music to going into other genres was she just wasn't having fun.
Yeah.
And she met her boyfriend, who now they do the band with.
Yeah,
and she was saying
Stefan.
she watched him playing, and she was so jealous of the fact he was having fun on stage. And I'm like, that should be the minimum.
Absolutely.
What's the fucking point of doing music if we don't have fun?
Yeah.
It's not like we're doing it for the money, because
Absolutely.
there's no money in it. So
Yeah, that's what
we're
I
doing it
always say
for
too.
fun. And classical musicians don't have fun. And it's very
Yeah.
sad. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them don't. And it's very sad to watch. Like, you've trained all your life for this, and you're not having
you're
fun.
not paid well, so you just have fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, that would be the advice then. If someone came to you and said, I don't know what I'm doing after college, what do I do now, where do I go, what would you say?
I would say, that's a hard, like, if they have no idea, as in, like, they don't know if I want to go to orchestra.
Well, as if they've got a good level of artistry, they've played, they've graduated, but they're sitting in that position of like, okay, do I go to orchestral auditions, do I become a teacher, what do I do now?
I would say whatever the choice that they would prefer, because you can do auditions, they can be extremely hard, like, they can break you. You can play for 2 seconds and then they clap and it's next. I would say whatever it is, make sure you are true to yourself, and that you are doing something which you're not worried about what others will perceive you. Like, don't do something like, because this is the route people take.
That's
this is
probably
what
the best
really.
advice,
I think you have to really ask yourself why you want to do it as many times as possible until you get to the true reason. And even if it's something strange or something that not anyone else is doing, or you're worried, like, it's normal to be worried about what other people will think. That happens to everyone. But just remember that no one cares. And when you're lying, like, in your deathbed or whatever, you're going to think, oh my God, I didn't do that because I'm worried what this person and whatever thought of me, and this person sucks. So what the hell?
Exactly. Yeah,
what the
that
fuck?
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Great.
Doesn't
Beautifully put. That is wonderful advice. Right. I want to ask you some quick fire fun questions. Did I send you these?
No. Did you? I don't think you did.
I probably didn't know.
Okay, but it's fine.
Really
It's more spontaneous.
It probably is more spontaneous. Okay. Do you have a favorite flute concerto?
The Nola Flute Concerto.
Yeah, you've already asked that.
Absolutely. That's almost my favorite flute concerto of all time. Like,
really? Okay.
That's how much I love it. It's just so emotionally charged. Like, the first movement is like, when I was recording this, there's a specific part where the bass flute is playing with the strings and the viola has a solo that I was thinking I could die right now. I felt everything I had to feel in my life, and this is where I die.
Finished. Emotions completed it.
Oh, I just love hearing, like, I get goosebumps just remembering.
What an advert for it. Okay, then.
I just love the Nola Flute Concerto.
It's good you committed to an answer as well, because a lot of people don't want to commit the answers from that question.
Oh no, I'm like 100%.
Nice. Do you remember the first flute album that you bought, or an album that featured flute, or someone bought for you?
I remember it was probably an album I bought for me, but for like much later, when I was probably in university already.
Okay.
So it wasn't something like I was in school or anything. It was I wanted a recording of this piece called Infinity by, I think her name is Amanda Jane Fox, and so it wasn't a time where I could just get. It's not very well known. She's an Australian composer. And I wanted to perform her piece because I had to perform a piece which was less than 20 years old when I was in doing this exam. And it was a piece where it was only female composers, which I don't remember the name of, but that was the first.
That's a really cool answer though as well, because normally it's always nearly
James Galway
or Rampart.
Yeah.
Which Galway? I'm Team Galway.
Yeah.
Because Belfast. But okay, do you remember your first ever album in general outside of flute?
That was which I bought myself, probably Björk Vespertine. No, you don't know. Do you know Björk?
Björk, the Icelandic Björk?
Yeah, Icelandic Björk. Yeah.
Yes.
And she's got an album called Vespertine, which is, again, as I said a million times, I'm very cheesy, and that album is all about love and her falling in love. So I relate to that
that's an incredibly cool answer as well. Björk's a very cool answer. That's a very hipster answer. Cool. Is there no like terrible like Brazilian pop music that you listen to? No.
Not Brazil. I love Brazilian pop music, but I wouldn't say it's very good. Brazilian
it's actually
pop
good
music.
pop
Yeah,
music?
it's good pop
Okay.
music. So this artist called Javan. It's Djavan, and he's just amazing. He's quite old now.
Okay.
He's not. I don't even know if he's considered that pop now, but there's a bunch. I mean, I could give you a playlist for sure.
Yeah, I know nothing about Brazilian pop music, but honestly, my knowledge of Brazilian culture doesn't go like I love the football culture, and that's hugely about it.
That's huge there.
But I mean, it's great.
I remember people.
Are you a football fan?
I'm not really. Like, my dad is a huge fan of Manchester United.
United? Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
and I remember I've been to 2 matches, and
Old
I
Trafford
did not. No.
Okay.
In like it's the one in London where there's a cottage or something.
Craven Cottage.
Yeah.
Fulham.
So Fulham. And so we did not sit down for the whole match. They were like jumping, dancing. I learned 3 songs, you know. There was one which was quite racist, or they're all like...
There might be, with Fulham there might be.
There was a Korean footballer.
Oh, I know exactly what song you're talking about.
Park, wherever you may be.
Don't sing it. Anyone who knows football will know that song.
I love that you know that song.
Oh, I know that song very well.
And they sang that when he scored. So it was like...
It was like an endearment thing as well at the time.
Yeah.
Like United fans used to sing it for him. And then he came out recently, he's like, can you not sing that anymore, please?
Can you just stop?
Which is fair enough. Yeah, Parky Sung, great player. I cannot believe one of your only football matches is at Craven Cottage for Fulham.
Yeah.
Did your dad not have a Brazilian thing? Was your dad Brazilian?
No, so my dad is Scottish by blood.
Oh, nice.
But he was born in England, so he just says he's English because he doesn't have the Scottish accent anymore. So, but my grandparents did, and I've got family in Glasgow.
Oh.
I've also got some family in England, but
family
it's
in
mostly
Glasgow. Are they Rangers or Celtic? Do you know which team?
I do not know.
Okay.
I've seen very little of them. I think I've been to Scotland maybe 5 times, and one of them was for Duke of Edinburgh. Duke of Edinburgh Award.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So,
okay, that's right.
So I really haven't been there much.
That's very British culture, that as well. Duke of Edinburgh Award.
Duke of Edinburgh Award.
Okay. Do you remember? Oh, do you have a go-to karaoke song? If we went to karaoke tonight, what would you be up to?
I think I would go crazy. So something. I'm actually going to answer this in my next question, but I just love like singing, or I love Beyonce very
I can
hard.
see you Beyonce, yeah.
I just love it. So I think I'd go all out in karaoke.
Brave karaoke song, yeah. Which one would you do?
Oh my God, I've got no idea. I
love old school Beyonce. Crazy in Love is still, I think, my favorite Beyonce song.
I love 1+1 by Beyonce.
Yeah.
You know that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I have mixed opinions on Beyonce.
It would. Oh really?
Yeah. The last few albums I wasn't mad about, but I've listened to every single one of them.
I didn't really like that much the one she released now, Renaissance Part 2.
No, it wasn't mad for that.
Renaissance Part 1, I was like crazy about. I even took I went to the show. I was best friends with everyone around me. Like we were dancing.
So
like,
is Beyonce your big fan? Your favorite artist?
Beyonce is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Yeah, I love her work, but I don't know which song I'd do by her. Because 1+1, it sounds shit. Like if I sung that.
Yeah, and you need to make sure you pick something that's going to get the audience going too. Karaoke, you want the.
I'd definitely choose a Brazilian song because that'd be easier. I've got a very special talent.
Is that a Brazilian song?
Yeah, Mais Que Nada.
Okay,
yeah.
that one.
So I've got a secret talent, which is memorizing lyrics.
Oh,
I
really?
can memorize lyrics very easily. Yeah. And I only know that because every time I'm singing songs with my mom in the car or whoever, they're like looking at me and driving. They're like, "How do you know?" You know.
And you straight away, like Mozart. Yeah. He could do that, couldn't he? Yeah. Well, I'll compare you to Mozart. That's a great thing. Yeah. Mozart doesn't watch this podcast. Has been dead 200 years. Who cares? Okay. Yeah. So which Beyonce song would you sing then? You have to give me an answer. I need one song.
It's not gonna be 1+1. It might be Heated.
Okay, I'll take that.
Because I love the ending, like when everyone just goes crazy.
Yeah,
like,
and that'd be good for karaoke. If like people would get up on that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Excellent call. Okay, if you could have a career outside of music, what would you do?
It would hopefully be something with arts.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, this is why you should have sent me the questions before.
I really should have. Yeah.
It does take a while, but you can speed it up maybe.
Oh yeah, I can delete stuff as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably won't.
Outside arts.
I love saying to people, "Oh, I'll let my editing team handle it." I don't have an editing team. It's all Gareth. I'd fire my editing team.
Maybe a pilot.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like a commercial pilot, like flying for like EasyJet or
Ryanair. Ryanair.
Go for Ryanair.
Or Wizz Air.
Wizz Air.
I just find it so cool. Like I find it awesome. Like I imagine when I'm taking
flying, then.
I think about the carbon footprint and I feel extremely guilty, really bad, because I fly a lot for my work.
Yeah.
But
you're not a nervous flyer.
No.
Okay.
I used to be sometimes, but now I'm just okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Okay, 2 questions left. If you could have a drink with any musician, alive or dead, who would you have a drink with?
Yeah.
Would it be Beyonce?
Oh God, it might be Beyonce.
Beyonce would be fun to have a drink with.
Yeah. But she's very like. When I've seen interviews of her, because she doesn't do that anymore, she seems very reserved, or very like, collected.
Yeah,
like,
but that's why you want to go for a drink. Then you're hoping after like a wee Aperol spritz, you might.
It might be Beyonce, but it doesn't have to be classical music, does it?
It doesn't at all. Just a musician.
Just a musician.
And they can be dead. And language doesn't matter. We'll assume you can speak the same language.
I'm sure many people, because I've heard these questions before. Many people say like Mozart or
Mozart pops
Bach.
up a lot.
Bach,
I don't think Bach could be that fun. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Bach would be interesting, but I don't think I have fun with Bach. Mozart would be fun.
I saw Julien Vaudimon's comment of life is short, Wagner is long.
Oh yeah, that's very that was great. I still intend to get that on a t-shirt, but I haven't done that yet. Again, I'll leave that to the marketing team at the Inline G podcast.
Let's say Beyonce.
Okay.
Because I can't think of anything else at this moment.
I mean, that's still a good answer.
I might come back and be like, oh no, it's this, but...
And the last question then, do you have a favourite drink? It could be alcoholic or non-alcoholic.
Beyonce or Brahms?
Brahms?
I love Brahms music.
Would you think Brahms would be cool as a person?
I think he could be. I don't know that much of him. It definitely wouldn't be Bruckner.
I do
he's
not
a
like
creep.
Bruckner's music.
He's a creep.
Is he a creep?
You don't know. He had something about death, and he would always flirt with his very, very youngest students. And when his mom died, you should Google it. It's very strange.
I don't want to Google it.
No, it's very strange.
Okay,
his music is fun, is interesting, but yeah.
I don't like his music. I never like Bruckner symphonies. I think they're shite.
I like the motets because I sung the motets.
Okay.
That's like your heart is coming out. But when you learn about him. He had something with counting too. Like he really was obsessed with counting. Like leaves on the trees, tiles on the roof. He got special permission to go like on a building to count the tiles of the roof. No, it's really creepy. It gets worse.
Okay, I'm gonna definitely Google the shit out of that then. Bruckner, yeah. Brahms would be fun. All I know about Brahms is the beard and symphonies.
Mahler. I love Mahler too.
Oh.
Sorry.
Cannot stand Mahler. I don't know. Mahler's too much for me. Mahler's too much for me.
He's just I love the over, you know, like
but that's too over.
Because like Wagner's very over.
I cannot listen to Wagner. Honestly, you cannot pay me to listen to Wagner. Wagner's it's too Deutsch.
Wagner's very over. Yeah.
It's like 4 hours of an opera. I'd rather die. I'm not listening to 4
hours. In
Vienna,
I've stood 4 hours to see the Valkyrie and Tristan and Isolde.
And you pay money for the privilege as well.
Well, it's like €4. It was €4 standing
spots,
ticket.
But then you have to stand for the entire.
Or you just sit like in the corner, which I did.
No. Was it good?
So there are only specific parts in Wagner operas that I like. So but in the Valkyrie, I love the ending because it's Wotan is singing to his daughter, and the lyrics. I translated the lyrics. Lyrics are all about. It's all about how much he loves her, but he has to make her human, so he can't live with her anymore. So he's just saying how much he loves her, how much he's gonna miss her and everything. And the music is gorgeous, so I just wanted that part. The only problem is it's at the end of the opera, so you have to wait for everything else.
Yeah.
But the overture to the
the overtures are great.
Yeah, it's like the storm.
Oh yeah, that's the Valkyrie one.
Yeah, it starts in the storm.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, like the greatest hits of Wagner on one CD, that's great.
Yeah.
If you took Wagner's best music and put it in like an hour for all of his best bits, that'd be fine.
The overture of the Flying Dutchman.
Oh yeah.
It's like
that's great. Got it Ammerung as well. I'm a big fan of, but it's only overtures. Nah, it's too German, to be honest. Okay, then last question. Do you have a favourite drink? Alcoholic or non-alcoholic?
Okay, so I don't drink alcohol.
Ever?
No, because I've tried very hard, like really hard, when I was in uni to like alcohol, but I've never been able to finish a drink of anything.
Not even like a Capri?
I've never been tipsy in my life. Like that. And when I got COVID, I lost my sense of smell, and I was like, this is the moment I won't taste, but I could still taste.
What an idea.
And I was like, I'm never gonna. So at some point,
I feel like you missed the boat, and it's probably better that you don't.
But at some point, I was like, I want to just have once the experience of being drunk, just to see how it is. But then I thought, you know what? I'm not going to force myself to drink things anymore.
And it's probably better.
I have had a shot of tequila before, and I thought I was going to die.
That's the worst thing in the world,
It was horrible.
I cannot drink tequila.
And I was like, with my friend, it was like, she just turned 18, and it was in Brazil. Oh. And I was like, Jessica, I'm gonna, you know, I was like, I was just going to throw up. But anyway, so.
What's your favorite non-alcoholic drink then?
My favorite non-alcoholic drink might just be a simple pineapple with mint that you have. It's very common in Brazil.
Pineapple juice with mint in it?
Yeah, but like natural.
Like freshly squeezed
fresh.
pineapple juice?
Yeah,
with mint? Wow, is there a name for that?
Abacaxi com hortelã.
I'm not even going to try to say that, but thank you very much. It's such a beautiful language, but I can't do it.
It is.
Great, well that's it. How long have we been speaking? An hour and 4 minutes. Perfect. Okay. Absolutely perfect.
Great.
So before you go, this is the chance to plug anything. Obviously, you're on Instagram, you're on TikTok, you're on Facebook. It's all Daniela Mars Flute, isn't it just?
Yeah, Daniela Mars Flute. All of it like that.
And 3 albums?
3 albums. The third one's coming out.
2 albums.
I do have an album coming out. I have done an album with my duo, Mars Smith, all about the Faroe Islands. I'm actually going to be recording an album with my trio, Drei Pirouetten.
Yeah.
We're doing that in less than a month, and I'm so stressed about it because I've got so much stuff to do. It's going to be in London, and Ftihia is flying from USA.
Oh wow.
Heine's coming from Germany, and I'm going. Yeah. So that's going to be exciting. So
And
Spotify, all
yeah,
that,
people
all
get
those
all
places.
the updates then on your social media as well. I'm sure you
Yeah,
post
I have a
everything.
Patreon account too.
Oh, yeah, your Patreon. Yeah, go check out your Patreon.
So that's cool.
Yeah, sign up to both Patreons. What's your Patreon?
Just Daniela Mars Flute, I
Okay.
think, as well. Very creative.
Yeah, I know. I made mine the Inline G Flute podcast, and people don't find it because I put the in it. Stupid idea.
I'm
It's too
surprised
long.
your question isn't if I play inline or offset.
Shit. I meant to ask every guest that, and I forgot to ask by the last 5 guests that. Oh shit! What do you play? Tell me now.
Offset.
Well, that's why I don't ask. That's the wrong answer. That is the wrong answer. And on that note, no, it's fine. I know people play offset these days. I think inline looks cool and it's France.
It does look cool, yeah.
That's the only reason I do most of the things I do because it looks cool. I am a very insecure person. So anyway, then great. We got all the questions in. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Daniela. This was so much fun.
I'm so happy that we did this.
And I'm so mine. Right, well then, guys, cheerio, and I will see you. I don't know what's happening next week. I haven't organised it yet, but cheerio.